have Coach Stanton. He's been our defensive line coach since 2018, and he's going to present on our pick stunts.
Hey, Nick. Thanks for having me on here. I'm glad I'm able to talk about this a little bit today and share some information. As you said, I'm going into my third year here at Rose-Hulman coaching the defensive line. I came from Franklin College where I played and then coached for 1 year as the defensive line coach there as well. So, again, today we're going to talk a little bit about pick stunts and how we use them and kind of the benefits of them. So again, my name is Jeffrey Dylan Stanton. These are my titles. If you have any questions or you'd like any of this information, my Twitter is here at the bottom, as well as my email. Feel free to reach out with any questions or anything you have, and I'll do my best to get you either film or information about it. Looking at kind of why we want to use these stunts or why the pick is useful for us in the center, really there's several reasons. The first is there's a lot of recent trends with the mirror 2-eye or mirror 3 fronts, so having either two eyes or 2 3s, and this allows us to do a little bit of variation or change it up, not necessarily just play where we're aligned. It also gives us the ability to occupy both of the A gaps and allow our linebackers to play a little bit faster and get to their gaps, which allows us success there, and we'll see a couple examples of that. The one thing that I really like about this is it's effective both in the run game and in the pass game, so it's a pretty safe call for most coaches in really any situation, and you can have success with it. It's very difficult for the offense to pick up and exchange if you do it correctly, which we'll kind of talk about the good and the bad of that. And then the last thing is it's very simple to teach to middle school, high school, college players, really to anybody. So first I got a video examples here, just kind of looking at different situations of when we run it. So again, we like to use it out of our 2 eyes or our 3 front, just using it there. So as you can see, the big thing we want to focus on here is attacking the center and making him be wrong. So he'll choose one guy, and the guy opposite is the one that's going to attack the shoulder of the center and get there. We'll talk about some coaching points in a little bit, but you can see this is against Mount Union, one of the most successful D3 teams in the nation. So if it works against them, it should work for you guys. So this is the previous year against Mount Union at home. Just another example here. This is on a pass play on a screen, and just seeing the differences with how it works, especially with timing. So the guy that's going to be picking or performing the stunt can get there a little bit faster, and the second guy is going to be a little delayed. The nice part with that is we're able to recover on the screen here and make a tackle for a 1-yard loss. So, again, another great play, great example of this. This against Hanover again a few years ago, but a look on as well as you can run this with some other things on the side. So we can run our pick in the middle with maybe a twist on each side and get some stuff there. So, again, we're getting pressure on the quarterback, another screen, but he doesn't have time to let it develop, and we're getting home. Here's a look from this past year. So a lot of those were run game or pass game situations. Here's kind of a view of it working in the run game for us. So we get set, and again, taking advantage of a center trying to block one guy, be very aggressive. We get a good pick, knock him down, and we get an extra guy over there that's unaccounted for and unable to be blocked. So we end up with a nice tackle for loss in this situation, taking away what the offense is trying to do. So here's a look just from the end zone of it. Again, taking advantage of what the center wants to do, where he wants to go. So he blocks one guy, we get a good pick. And it's a great job here of our tackle that's picking to not stay engaged with that guy too long and to get back over there. So it's a really good, really great play. Looking again, here's against Mount Union as well. This is on a zone type scheme. So the last one was more of a gap scheme. And here we go. We've got a guy stunting back. This is really tough because everybody's taught to work on their tracks, and you have a guy spiking back the opposite direction, getting a TFL against, one of the best running backs in the nation. So, again, having success against them should correlate to having success in really any situation. Here's a look again of the guy that's picking, actually making a play in the backfield on a run, being aggressive with the center. One thing that's really nice about this is when you do it, it's tough for this guard to get a down block. So we're very aggressive. We get hands on, and by the time you use this guy kind of as a wall or a pole and post on him, you're in the backfield, and it works really great. And the nice thing with that, it keeps our linebackers relatively untouched, so that they can get over and have a chance to make a play as well. Goal line situation here. So we've talked being aggressive, attacking the center. Here's a great look of it. We got to do a little bit better job finishing, but we get in the backfield, we cause some chaos, and end up, getting a tackle for loss on the goal line. But it's really tough for that guy, the guard here, to get a good block on this defensive tackle because we're already stunting that way, already working that way. So you kind of get a little bit of a head start. And it works really well being physical with the center there as well to be in the backfield. So you can see the success with that. So all those examples were out of 4-down fronts. Here's a little bit more. You can do it out of a 3-down front. So if any of you guys are big on running 3-down or being able to do some different things with it, we do have some examples of that. So here you can see we walk up one of our linebackers who's a little bit more physical, who's used to pass rushing, and we sell like we're just going to rush the B gap. And we walk up there, and we're going to get a nice pick on the center with the nose looping around. The nice thing about this is when you look at it, the linebacker lined up in the B gap here, the guard then thinks that he has to reach out there, so he works really wide trying to get to that guy, trying to get his head across. When he stunts back, that leaves a big gap for the nose here to work across, as well as allowing that guy to get a good push off the center and get in the backfield. So when you're going against North Central here, the team that just won the national championship and having success in the backfield again, obviously it shows that it works really well. So, and kind of like we talked about earlier, is freeing up the linebackers. So here's a great example of that. While this stunt usually works really well up front, it also can have some great success for your linebackers. So we get here, get a great contact on the center, have our guard looping around. But the thing that's really important in this situation is it allows our backside linebacker here to flow pretty freely, nobody cutting him off, gets in the backfield, makes a great hit, and then our defensive tackle's in on the tackle with him there. So, again, let your linebackers be a little bit better athletes, let them flow, let them do some things. Some of the teaching points with our center pick stunt that we want to really focus on is reading the center's shoulder or momentum after the snap. So if he's going on a run block, he's probably going to give you his shoulders and give an indication of where he's going. Sometimes on pass plays, the center will be a little bit more square. So there we're reading his momentum. Is he going left? Is he going right? And that's how we kind of determine what's happening there. The big thing with this is being aggressive when we're deciding. Don't be passive. Making a slow, correct decision is not better than making a fast, incorrect decision. We want to be as quickly as we can with trying to make the best decision. That's why we'll practice this at practice and do the best we can to feel comfortable doing this. We want to avoid spending time engaged with the center. So some guys will think they're driving the center way out of the play or they're burying him. They're doing a great job, but spending time pushing on the center is not going to help us get a tackle for loss or a sack, which is the whole means of running the stunt. Then the two big coaching points here at the bottom, we want to make sure we attack the shoulder of the center, shoulder and or hip, depending what you want to focus on. We take just the shoulder, but not the chest. So if you work straight down the middle of that guy, as we'll see in a minute, you can get kind of stood up and it doesn't work really well for either guy. Then the other thing is especially with younger guys or guys that don't have experience, we want to avoid wrapping too deep or too wide after the pick because it's going to create kind of a secondary gap to deal with. So here's a first example we'll talk about of a linebacker coming up. Again, we want to make sure we attack the shoulder here. You'll see what happens when you work right down the middle of the guy. We get stood up and it makes it tough. So when we get in here, we really want to focus on attacking the shoulder more so than right down the middle, which would then allow us to have a little bit more of an angle to get to the backfield. And then here's a look just of a defensive lineman. Again, linebacker's coming up for the pick, just of getting too wide in this situation. So we pause it here. You can see the wide loop. He actually ends up having two gaps that he's got to defend, which this can be really tough if you're facing an athletic quarterback or an athletic running back where maybe he's a little bit shiftier than our defensive tackles are, and it can give you some problems there. So come around tight and be ready to fit whatever you first see. So after we've done this, we run these a lot. We like to have some progressions with it. So this is kind of our way that we can disguise it or give a little bit of having some feel with this. So we have one linebacker lined up like he's going to go, walk a second one up, and then bring the other guy opposite. So it works really well. We get a guy looping around in the face of the quarterback and a nice stop on third down. Here's the end zone view of the same shot. Again, really selling that we're bringing the pick over here, and then we end up bringing it the opposite way, doing a great job. You can see here the guard sticks with his man who's pushing on the center. We get the defensive end looping around. The one thing here that we just got to do a better job of is our nose not being so hesitant or slow. When you come around there, you've got to have full steam, being ready to get in the backfield, knowing that you're going to be a little bit slower. Another change up we kind of have is we put in this past year, and we're going to work on a little bit more, is the ability to pick the tackle or the nose and having this linebacker a little bit of freedom. So he's got the option when he walks up here, he can give a call and choose which one he wants to do. So if he wants to pick the tackle, like in this situation, the nose will just work to the opposite A-gap. Defensive end or tackle will work upfield and then come inside. And you'll see here it works really well. Unfortunately for us, the one thing we got to work on is when we get this pick, we got to have this defensive end work outside in order to keep contained, because if we do that in this situation, we're in great shape. So kind of, if you enjoy this or you think it's something good, a way you want to kind of work on it or practice, here's a little bit of a drill and a progression with it. So really we're reading and reacting to the center in this situation, which we'll talk about. So we start with either two defensive linemen or a defensive lineman and a linebacker, both ready to go across from it. You have the third person as the offensive center, ready to react to the drill, and that they're going to read. It can be a defensive lineman or a linebacker, if you have enough guys or whatever, so that you can keep everybody in the drill, keep active, and make them understand it. You're going to have the offensive guy, the center, choose one player to engage on the cadence. So it could be a clap, it could be an actual verbal cadence, whatever you want to be, and he's going to attack the one guy. The defensive players then will read this and react and execute the stunt. So the guy that's unblocked will pick that guy. The guy that is being blocked will loop behind. The benefits to this, it's pretty quick. It's a drill where everyone's active, engaged, can easily learn whether you're the offensive guy or the defensive guy. You can see kind of how this stunt works and what the success is of it. And it's easy to determine the success or failure. If you do it wrong, it's going to feel awkward. It's not going to feel very fluid. And if you do it correctly, it's going to be easy, and both guys are going to end up behind the offensive guy. One of the progressions that we made is we can have the center, the offensive guy, as a pop-up bag, and just have the coach or the other person just tap it one way or the other. This allows for a quick, violent stun on the bag from both guys. So the first guy's just going to pop it. Second guy's going to hit it and knock it on its side. And the nice thing with this is it requires a faster reaction. You don't have as much time as if a person's there. So here's a little bit of a film of the first stage we talked about. You can see we're ready to go. Use a clap cadence, and we're going to read it. It's a great look here of the pick. Now, the one thing is we don't want to spend too much time here. We want to finish the drill and get to the quarterback. But it's a great loop getting upfield. And you can see over here to the left side, these two groups are freshmen for us. So they did a great job this past year. And you can see how quickly it is to learn. And you can see this is awkward for these guys because they do it backwards. They try to guess. So you can see it's fairly easy to understand how the drill goes. So again, here's a second one. Really good rep here by the second group. Great pick, and they stunt and loop around. Both guys get squared back to the line of scrimmage, ready to go. One thing that we give our guys the freedom is the offensive guy. You can see here, they can pass set right or left, or they can run block right or left, because we got to be able to react to both. So you get a good look at run blocks from these two guys and a pass set here. But again, you can see success from younger guys right here getting into it. One coaching point that's obvious here is we've got to be more physical if we're this defensive guy. If you allow yourself to be bullied, it's not going to work out. So last clip here again. Really good stunt by everybody really across the board. This is probably the best look of any of the groups. You can see getting upfield, being aggressive. So again, here's my contact information. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out, and I'll do the best I can to get you the information or answer anything you have.
Quickly, Coach Stan, you want to give Rose-Hulman a plug?
Absolutely. So we're the #1 engineering school in the nation, have been for the last 21 years, predominantly all engineering, computer science degrees. Um, Really, we're recruiting guys around a 3.5 GPA and then a 24 ACT or a 1050 SAT. But you can kind of talk to your recruiting coach about that with information for that.
And then what area do you recruit yourself?
Absolutely. So I recruit most of the Southwest United States. I recruit Arkansas, Arizona, Colorado. I just took over Florida this past year. I recruit Hawaii, Kansas, Louisiana, Missouri, New Mexico, Nevada, Oklahoma, Utah, and Wyoming. So as I said, really Florida, Louisiana, Arkansas, and then the Southwest United States, except for Texas. So those are kind of the states that I focus in on. If you're a recruit from there, feel free to reach out to me on Twitter. That's probably the best way to get in contact with me.
Awesome, Coach. Well, thanks for sharing with us. If you have any questions, he's more than willing to be able to answer any of those questions for you guys. All right.